Answer. She just was such a wonderful spirit, and it was just this very giving nature about her.
With Anita, there was that natural affability that she had that you find with a friend, somebody that's a true friend.
Gracious, Southern woman is what she was. You know, she embodied so many wonderful characteristics of what we think of as the gentle Southern woman.
She felt like my closest friend, but I think a lot of people felt that way about Anita. She had a real gift for friendship.
The most important thing, I think, was her vision to help us see, and see life, see people. So the things that she taught us, looking at life differently, all that was just priceless, you know, priceless lesson.
You could see that too in her growth as an artist from the very first pieces. You could see her growth as a person and as an artist, and also the events that were taking place in her life would come out through her art.
There were many good years over that 10-year span that from the time that she was diagnosed till the time that she left here. You can see the more spiritual side, the more insightful side. When a person is faced with something like that, which none of us have been faced with, to realize that your journey here may be short-lived, you become a lot wiser and a lot more insightful, and you can see it in the work.
Anita, I think, tried to develop in me the ability to fully appreciate what was offered. Not only what you see, but what you might feel and might understand about art and the world of art.
And I look at her art and I think, master teacher. Brought literally hundreds of students through her lifetime on in art and made differences in their lives. I look at Anita's work as kind of a microcosm of her love of teaching. She loved to do art, but equally she loved to teach others to do art.
Throughout her life's journey, Anita touched countless lives in meaningful and memorable ways, not only as an artist, but also as a friend, professor, teacher, colleague, and mother.
You know, that's so typical of Anita. She played so many roles artistically in this community. She was so important. She was such a vital part of it. She was part of that, you know, attempting to start a viable gallery that would exhibit artwork. She taught at UCF for a while. She taught at Valencia and eventually became full-time there. She taught at Rollins College. She taught at Crealdi School of Art and directed the drawing and painting program there. And she never wanted to give up any of it. Anita thought she could do all of it. I mean, right up to the end. She didn't want to give up any one of those pieces. And in fact, she linked them together. She was at least one individual that all of those educational institutions had in common. But what she did for students was show students that they could move from program to program. Crealdi students would start there and then come to Valencia. Valencia students would start there and then get extra training at Crealdi. She was such an important part of the art community and the educational community in Orlando.
According to Anita, her artistic talent is a legacy she inherited from her grandmother, Harriet Stodden. Anita once said that art gave her grandmother a sense of community. It gave her something to live for. Anita lived for her art, she lived for Cindy, and she lived to teach.
Her students always, I think, were very positive because she was, again, she reinforced what they were trying to do, and she just tried to get them to look at it from a different standpoint.
But I can always remember thinking that it wasn't like a typical professor-student relationship. It was more of a friendship, giving me that guidance and actually looking at my work from more of a personal level.
What she would do for you as a friend and as an artist specifically, since that's what I am, she was always the curator for me in that. And I think the responsibilities of a curator is obviously a certain amount of criticism in terms of dealing with the work, but also great supporter of what you're doing.
Laughter was what I think I equate with Anita more than anything. Not that she wasn't serious about her work and about her life, but just had a great attitude.
She always greeted all her friends with a compliment, with a hug, and a kiss. It was always about you. It was never about her.
There was something about her that people they were drawn to her. And it was students, or it was her colleagues, or friends.
Well, I feel that people can see different things in it. She does many different layers, almost like personalities.
The dragonfly. The dragonfly doesn't live long, but it has a wonderful spiritual quality to it, and it's a sense of hope. And you see these throughout hers and the angels.
Anita said, "My paintings became physical manifestations of the spiritual process of my healing. Getting a diagnosis like mine really focuses you. It pushes you into places and creates a kind of chaos that influences your art." Her work changed. Her paintings reflected a persistent faith to beat the disease and her commitment to share her experience with others.
She had radical surgeries that I never had to undergo, and I think she had 4 open chest surgeries. They were very painful and painful to recuperate from. She was very aware of the frailty and the fragility of the body.
This was one of the first dragonflies, and then the dragonflies evolved into this over here, the recurring rib cage. Many things. One is that's the part of my body that has been the teacher, the part of my body that has received the impact of all the pain, and so and represented it in a visual sense like this, I think it's a way of illustrating that and to reclaim that part of my body.
Anita's work I always thought was fascinating because I saw it as a representation of her vision, not so much metaphorically as an artist's vision, because I think any artist that's legitimate has a vision, but vision in this sense, almost like what she saw. It seems that maybe because of that ethereal quality of her work, as though she had some God-given ability with her eyes to see more than we could, beyond the infrared, beyond the ultraviolet. I don't know. It's as though there was a shadow or a spirit world that's always there, that's always among us, but we can't see it. Anita can. For her, I think those spirits, those images that she ultimately put on canvas were very, very real. A whole sort of parallel world where incorporeal things, honesty, truth, love, whatever, seemed to take some kind of a form and seemed to be, in a sense, more real. I think they were to her. And I think that, as I see it when I look at her work, was so much of what motivated her to want to be an artist and to bring that part of her experience to us.
Yeah, I think what we see in Anita's work is her willingness to confront her mortality. That's what always amazed all of us, I think. Some of us are definitely frightened by that sense of our mortality, and I think the darkness maybe that comes out in our work is related to that sense of not knowing.
So this is a kind of frightening image. Yeah, they are about facing the eyes. These 3 are about that. They're about looking right into the face of madness.
I think in Anita's, what was that? Her sense of knowing, and that even the pieces that deal with her mortality have a certain sense of warmth and beauty to them, because I don't think she was frightened by that. I think she kind of, her experiences, and she talked about her experiences many times with me, made her have no question about that. And I think that's portrayed in her work in that sense, that it has that beauty still, but it's still very serious about what our mortality is. Not saying that I'm going to embrace my mortality as much as saying I'm not going to be frightened by it.
This one on the left, this painting on the left is of a person who's wrapped up with a snake. And it's sort of like being bound by something, and by being bound by something that has a life, not being bound by something like a rope that's dead, being bound by something that's living and dangerous. And a serpent with many heads, or a snake with many heads, representing to me something that's not easy to deal with. It's not definable with one aspect, but something that has many faces, many representations.
Anita was fully alive. I don't know anyone who's more fully alive than Anita.
Her work serves as a communicative bridge, allowing us, the viewer, a glimpse into Anita's experience. Her paintings are portrayed by what she describes as otherworldly beings. A mermaid, which symbolizes a female with more or less supernatural powers. She can breathe underwater and doesn't have the limitations of normal humans. And there are winged creatures that are liberated from the confines of this earthly existence. A famed French writer tells us that it is only with the heart one can see rightly what is essentially invisible to the eye. But artist Anita Wooten demonstrated the best of both worlds. Her art is visually provocative and inspiring. Anita's many admirers will tell you that her paintings spoke right to their hearts.
It was such a privilege to me to know Anita, to be in her presence. But I think to be in the presence of her art is also a privilege. Her spirit lives on, and her spirit is in those paintings. Her spirit is in all of that work. And I think when one looks at that work, when anyone looks at that work, people who didn't have the opportunity to know her, you can find Anita in there.